Gather round. It's time for your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. Listen closely as your coaches discuss the culture, the economy, and the political scene, and how it affects your home and your real estate investments. Real Estate Chalk Talk is where you learn the science of buying and selling real estate and the art of living in your home. Your education begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey there, welcome to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group, hittnergroup.com, Hittner Group.com, 612-627-8000. That's 612-627-8000. Give us a ring-a-ling-a-ling, and we'll be happy to have a chat with you about your fall real estate selling opportunity. And what's going on in the real estate market? Well, we're starting to creep down another 56 units that are on the market this year. So we're down to just over 7,000 units, up from the max this year was just a little like a skosh over 8,000 units. So it's just been kind of ticking down now as we head into fall. Last week we had 900 and some units that sold and or went pending. This week it's 800 units, so it's kind of everything is kind of slowing down. A lot of it is fall. A lot of it is election cycle. I think that this year, just from the people that I am talking to, there's more of an impact on this election cycle, I think, than anyone that I can remember. Because there's so much nervousness about it all. On one way, and I don't care where your political leanings are.
Right.
It's just nervousness about it, and they don't know whoever gets elected, and then whoever the Congress winds up looking like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just going to have such a major impact on housing, and it's just the attitudes of people. They're nervous about it, and I think that just post-election, there's going to be a period of turmoil, no matter who gets elected. I don't think it much matters. Everybody's going to be protesting everything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just showings have stopped. The showing volume is just like zero. You know.
Really?
Yeah, we had an open house this weekend at a property that I thought I was just going to be really busy at because 300,000, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3-car garage. And it's like, you know, this is just a sweet spot price point.
Right.
And no Vikings.
Yeah,
I thought,
great.
man, I'm going to be busy. Goose egg.
Really?
Goose egg.
Doggone it.
Nobody threw, and there's been no showings. You know, it's really, really something. So I just think it's having a heck of an impact. I think we're just kind of going.
Are you seeing that? Because I know you talked to your front desk. Are they seeing showings down?
Yeah, we are.
All over the board as well. Not just like, hey, we're slower on our showing. You think it's a real estate market thing, not a.
No, it's a real estate market thing.
Are,
I think for next week I'll get the showing numbers.
Okay, it'd be interesting, right?
Just we could probably pull it up online actually, but I don't know how much of that is reported. But you can get the showing activity. I think you can. I'll pull it. I'll look for next week, and we get the showing numbers because it's bad. And you look at, and then Fannie and Freddie reported this week. You know, there's more talk now about privatizing that whole thing. Again, I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Nope.
Mixed feelings about that. I guess my opinion on that is very important. But they're reporting that's the worst year since '94. You know, so I mean that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think there's definitely the fall seasonal slide is coming.
Yeah,
we're in it. So showing traffic certainly down, and then I mean election stuff for people like you maybe, or people that are trying to move electively. That are in a position to buy big homes. I don't think first-time home buyers really care one way or another about the election stuff. Even first-time move-ups, it doesn't really impact them on a day-to-day basis. And I just don't think
unless
I don't think it has a giant
unless there's
impact
job uncertainty.
I don't think it has a giant impact on their decision-making, whether they're going to move or buy their first home or whatever it is. I think the economy in general weighing on people over the last couple of years and where inflation has gone. I think that's the biggest impact that, and interest rates, of course, on top. Right. That's because of that.
Well, I agree with you, and I think, but that's all part of it, though. That's all part of it, because if this party gets in, then I have a feeling that the market's going to move in this, and there's going to be more of a positive outcome, in that people will feel confidence, and with confidence comes activity and all that. And if the other party gets in, then there's less confidence. It's going to get worse, and I'm just going to stay where I am. I'm just going to hunker down and stay put.
People that pay more attention to it than me say that, liberal side, if they're continuing to run things, then that's better for the housing market.
Each side says the same. It says exactly the same thing. If my side gets in, it's going to be better, and the other people say, well, if my side gets in, it's going to be better.
Yeah, that's why to me it's just like, I don't know. You guys are all full of it. So.
Yeah.
They say on the Democratic side, because there's more, they'll give more
opportunity for
first-time home buyers. There'll be a national down payment assistance program versus the state ones versus the county ones versus the city ones that we already have.
But they would have to get control of both houses and have it. Otherwise, it'll never get implemented. I mean, that's just like walk talk, selling point talk, and then it'll never happen. They're just so much. And the last thing we need is more money.
Right.
I mean, some of the properties that we've had for sale recently, we've got $80,000 available, $90,000 available for down payment assistance. Hasn't had an impact at all.
Yeah,
right.
It's funny because we talk a lot about recently in doing more price reductions with listings. We talk a lot about value, value and price,
right,
and the difference of that. And you look at, at some points it's like, God, do you just keep reducing the price until somebody's like, okay, I guess I'll buy it just because it's such a value,
right?
It's tough. It's a hard pill to swallow when you're sitting with not a lot of activity on something, and you can bring more people through. We had an open house, just as an example, like weren't getting any showings, so we have an open house, and like, okay, we get 5 people that come through. That's 5 showings on the property. That's good. One of them actually came through with their agent at the time, and they ended up buying the house. And it just happened to coincide with their showing anyways, so it wasn't like the open house really did it.
Right.
But we did get more traffic through and doing that open house and ultimately sold the property, but we also did a big price reduction.
Don't you also think it's kind of almost like not a buyer's market, but almost a buyer's market right now? I think it's a really great time to buy because we're seeing closing costs being involved. We're seeing, like you said, some price reductions.
I think what's happening is I think you've got a market that is maybe a little overpriced, where people got a little over their skis. Listen to the news, which was always 9 months behind the real what's going on, and they priced it too high. I mean, it's priced too high. Right now, we have about 15% of the market doing price reductions weekly.
Wow!
Every week, 15% of the market does a price reduction. To your point.
in our conversation regarding we did quite a sizable price reduction over the course of a week. It was $50,000 off this property.
Wow!
That we dropped the price, and part of our conversation was when we did the initial market analysis back in July. We're looking back from properties it was in June. We were looking at properties from May, April, March, and maybe even further back, to kind of judge what this property was going to be on the market for. And now, I mean, we're months ahead of that. We're in a different season as well. We're in the fall market, heading into winter. Motivations are clearly different for people that are putting their houses on the market right now versus in, March, April, May. And so there's opportunity for buyers right there. And to get the house sold and not have it sit on the market over the winter, you got to make some moves.
Okay, let me ask you this. Fall market, we got 2 minutes left. Fall market, what marketing do you do differently in a fall market than in a spring market? What do you do when someone says, okay, the market's slow, what are you going to do? How are you going to get that house sold then? I mean, what can we do other than just drop the price?
Well, you just have to start at the right price, I think. That's going to be different.
Be realistic.
Yeah, being more realistic on what the value or price of that property is. Like, I think that you can play with the price a little bit more, like your actual list price, a little bit more in the spring market than you can in the fall.
Right.
So understanding that, the difference of the 2 seasons there, and what the buyer is looking for too at that time is important. So when the buyer's shopping before winter, they know, if they're working with a good agent, they know there's opportunity in the market right there too. So you tend to get lower offers than if you're trying to sell your house in the spring. So I have 2 cases right now where we kind of missed the market in preparing the house for sale. It just wasn't ready for various reasons that were out of the control of the homeowners, and so I don't fault them for that at all. Sometimes things just happen the way they happen, and you work within the circumstances. And you miss it. So you hope to be back here, selling the home in May, but we're not. It's October now in November. So we need to be more realistic and have those honest conversations about making sure that the house is fully prepared for sale, because people are super picky right now.
They sure are.
Super picky. They're looking for a deal because they know that we're heading into winter, and so they're kind of going to nick you a little bit on price. Having that expectation with the sellers and understanding the difference of the markets, and then pricing it more appropriately. And you can certainly sell a house any month out of the year. It's just paying attention to the markets and being careful with pricing, I think.
I think so, too. When we come back, I want to talk with Mike Sandness on Wow One Day Painting about this issue, actually, in preparing the house for sale. Because if a house is not clean and not fresh and not crisp, you are going to get nipped on the price. Because, as I explained to people just this week, you're going to pay to have the house done. It's either going to be through the price, or it's going to be out of your pocket directly to the vendor. You might as well take control of it and get it done right. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. HittnerGroup.com, 612-627-8000. 612-627-8000. Got Mike Sandness in the studio, Wow One Day Painting, WowOneDay.com. And we are talking, the last segment we went out, we were talking a little bit about what things that you do in the fall that to prepare the house for sale that maybe you wouldn't do in the spring in a more robust market. Because the fall market, which I love, by the way, because you've got sellers who are more motivated because they're selling for a reason typically. And the same thing with buyers. Typically there's fewer of them, but the buyers that are out there are more serious because they're looking to go. So a smaller market, but a more serious market. And with that in mind comes the preparation thing. We were at a house last night that in another market, like when interest rates were at 3%, 2.5%, you probably would have just stuck it out there and had multiple offers, had people lined up to get in. Today, that's not going to happen. So we're coming into fall now. You've had a terrific fall weather-wise. I mean, you've been able to do outside work. That's probably coming to a squeeze right now.
It is.
Looking for inside work. First of all, just for people who are listening, how can they get a hold of you? Let's get that out of the way right away.
So they can go to WOW1, the number 1, DAY.com, WowOneDay.com. Otherwise, call 888-969-1329.
Okay, so if they want to...
Is that like an automated deal or...
No,
they're a real person, right?
They'll get to a real person and
eventually.
actually talk about getting into an appointment, and then we get that information.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you come in, then is it really one day?
That's the business model. It's the mantra of the brand. But what we do is we'll go in, we'll measure things. I don't walk in and say, look, it's going to be X dollars. I want to have an idea of square footage, gallons of paint, supplies, those things, and I have a production chart. I can determine the number of labor hours. From that point, I determine the manpower I have, if I can get it done in a day or not. About 60 to 70% of the time we can. If we're doing kitchen cabinets or if we're doing, ceiling patches and then coming back for walls or trim, it's going to take a couple of days.
Okay.
I was just at a house yesterday. They've had a couple of contractors come in and bid, but it's going to take them 2 to 3 weeks. My numbers look like I can get it done in 2.5, 3 days. Okay.
And then from a you know how it is. It's like landscaping or anything else. You got a guy with a pickup truck and a shovel, and he's suddenly a landscaper.
Yeah.
Going out competing against a real company.
Yeah.
How does that work for you guys from a warranty standpoint, and what do you offer as a real company that the guy with a pickup truck and a paint truck?
Yeah, I was just talking about this the other day about horror stories.
Okay.
And there was a horror story several years ago. A couple moved up from Texas. They didn't do their background checks. They hired someone off Thumbtack who claimed to be a painting contractor. Mm-hmm. He came in, got the job. He went to Home Depot, bought a cheap sprayer. It was just a train wreck. Mm-hmm. So without knowing how to prep everything, he decided he was going to paint their kitchen cabinets, just painted it. Didn't do the sanding, priming, anything like that. When I got there, it was coming off like wallpaper, literally like wallpaper. There was no prep to this project. So I had to redo the whole thing. So unless you're doing your background checks, things like that, you need to make sure you have an up-and-up contract and you do the job the right way at the right time.
What about the patching, like holes in the walls and things like that? You got a house with kids in it, and they're all beat up, thumbtack holes and all that. How do you deal with all that?
Well, my coaching to the homeowner is if they want to put wall hangings back up, leave the nails in. We'll paint around them.
Okay.
Otherwise, pull them out and we'll fill all the holes. Okay. We're going to be doing a project in the next few weeks. It's kind of hard to explain. The wall is a blank wall, but you can't see the wall.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many wall coverings
Yeah.
and paintings and things like that. There's so many thumbtacks. So I explained to them, pull everything down, we'll fill it.
All right, so I was in a house this week, and we're downstairs in the daughter's room, and she was all proud to show me her wall painting on the wall. And I said, "Oh, is that nice?" And I kind of felt it, and I said, "Is that paint?" And she said, "No, it's crayon."
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what I said. So
You're like,
how do you cover that? How do you cover that?
Well, you're going to have to probably sand it down a little bit. You're going to have to prime it for sure because you don't want to have any of those oils coming through the paint.
Is there a block that you can put on that prevents the bleed
you can
through?
use an oil primer, cover it, and then paint it.
Okay, so
I have that in my own house. The previous owner daughter had like written all over the walls in the bathroom in the basement, and when I bought the house, you couldn't see any of it. And then now, and I've been there since 2016. Yeah. Now you can clearly read everything.
Can you really?
Really?
Oh,
that
no.
she had written on the wall.
it's bled right through. Yeah, I hate my dad.
That's awful to read that every day.
Yeah.
How have I ask you this every time you're on the show because it seems like the technology is changing and the materials are changing and new colors and all that are coming out every year. What are you finding this year that's different than maybe last year or a couple of years ago?
It seems like people are going more to the lighter, like creamy white colors.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we're doing a house right now in Eden Prairie. I just left there this morning. Most of the walls are going to be divine white.
Oh, divine white.
Divine white. The closets are going to be pure white.
Pure
white.
Okay.
That's, and they've got a couple accent walls going up, but for the most part, the majority of the house is going to be a white.
So do you find that you're moving away from now all the different shades of gray? I mean, it's gray forever.
I mean, we do gray, but it's not as common as the whites that we're doing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd say 20% of the time is a gray.
So if you go out to a house and you're meeting with the people, you're measuring it up and all that stuff, and they have no clue about what color they want.
Right.
They're trying to get the thing for sale.
Right.
How do you coach them?
Well, first of all, I ask them who the realtor is. If they've got you guys for the realtor, I know you have a standard color you want to go with, and I explain to them, it's like, go with what Keith suggests because that's what sells, okay? Otherwise, I'll tell them, go to Sherwin-Williams or Hirschfield, somewhere local, pick out a color, put some samples on the walls. They're not absolutely certain. Let them test out that way because light hits it differently from different rooms, and then we'll decide from there what we want to do.
You mentioned that you were seeing accent walls.
Yeah.
Because this house has a number of accent walls. Are you seeing that's common now in major rooms or still in bathrooms or?
I don't know if it's common. It's just preference. I think.
Is it a completely different color, or what I'm seeing is different shades of
different color?
Different color.
Yeah, different color. Yeah.
Any black? Calvin has a lot of black in his
house. Yes, we did. We walked into the house 3-4 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I was kind of blown away by it. Mm-hmm. It was almost all black.
Really?
Yeah. Ceilings, walls, everything. I'm like, wow.
Looks great, doesn't it?
It's dark in here.
House in Eagan is a Vikings player's house.
Yeah.
And the whole basement was black.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A lot of white trim, white baseboard, light carpet.
Yeah.
All the walls were black.
Is that crazy?
It's pretty cool. Actually.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
Yes.
And then had, of course, like purple, like accent lighting and things like that. It was pretty cool.
Is that a difficult paint to use?
It depends on the sheen and things like that, and how good the walls are, what the expectation of the homeowner is, those things. Because the deeper the color base and the higher the sheen, the more you're going to see for defects in the wall.
Yeah.
You got to get away from the sheen.
Yeah, get away from it.
The house I was preparing for sale in Savage, we walked in there, and it was all like straight, what do you call it, eggshell or something? It's too much.
Yeah.
Eggshells, high sheen.
Yeah, it'll pop.
So
out.
what would you recommend? Flat.
Flat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can't wash flat, or you can wash.
No, but you can touch it up really well.
Yeah.
That's why builders will use it.
Yeah.
They'll paint with flat paint.
It's easier to touch up, but you're not going to see the defects
and easier to match, too. I mean, not like match with new paint, but if you have the same lot and it's flat paint, it works pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not after 2 years, but, you don't want it. That's what they tried to do with the sheen, this eggshell. You can't touch it up.
No, you have to paint the whole wall.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
We had a house that was in the farm out there in Lakeville, and it was a model. I remember a number of years ago, and they had a black and white office. and it was strikingly beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk in there, it's like, wow.
There's a purpose for that sometimes. I mean, the gentleman did that for one room. He made it into his theater room. You know, so it was great because the projector screen, all that, it was awesome.
Yeah.
My
and it's
theater
sharp.
area is, it's a dark, really dark
Yeah.
color, almost not a black, but charcoal.
Yeah.
And it's super sharp.
Good job.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Mike.
very good job.
Thanks, everybody.
So how when your crews and managing your crews, because you got a number of projects going on at once, and where do these people come from? I mean, these employees of yours, are they subcontractors?
I've had a blended business from day one.
Okay.
I have W-2 employees, and I also have subcontractors. The subcontractors backfill the work that we can't get going right away with my employee crew. Our first priority is employees, but we have both crews. They're both reputable. They both represent the brand, and they understand what our business model is. So I trust them wholeheartedly.
When you go into a house and you're doing the walkthrough, I'm just thinking about repair work now, and you got wallpaper all over the place,
Yeah.
and damage to the thing. You know, how do you deal with like wallpaper?
Well, if it's wallpaper removal, things like that, we do what's called time and materials.
Okay.
I'll give them an estimate of what we're looking at for cost so they don't get the sticker shock at the end. I give it to them up front and what to expect. And I'm usually pretty good on those numbers. But it's usually based on measurement of time and materials. I'm not going to give them a set dollar amount. I'll measure what we do when we go in and get out.
Okay. Any difference between there's wallpaper that has been sized so it comes off easy. There's other stuff that comes and it damages the.
So we'll do some tests. We'll see if it's going to come off easy or not. Otherwise, if it's not, if it's sealed pretty good, we can paint over it.
Okay.
And that's a different process.
This conversation has been so interesting. I think we should continue this in the next segment, guys, huh?
Okay.
This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. We're going to head out to break. 612-627-8000. Log on to our website, hittnergroup.com, Hittner group.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Thanks for sticking around. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk. 612-627-8000, hittnergroup.com. We're speaking with Mike Sandness, Wow One Day Painting. Keith Areno, I got a question for you. How many times have you gone in to talk to somebody and you're looking around and you go, you need to paint this thing? You just need to paint it. And they're saying, well, we were thinking that we'd sell it as is because the buyer may want to choose their own color.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. So what's that conversation look like?
Well, if it needs paint, paint it. If it needs carpet, do it. If it needs to be clean, clean it. And if it needs to be fixed, fix it. Those are like your base things to prepare a house for sale. Strongly encourage that for anybody. As is scenarios, they can be tricky in different markets. A market where it's super fast, lots of offers coming in, 48 showings in 2 days. You can get away with that stuff. Kind of similar to the commission conversation that everybody's having right now. I mean, different markets command different things. And I think right now you really want to prepare the house for the market as best you can within your budget. I think people do that with carpet a little bit more. They balk at the carpet because it's such a pain in the butt. If you got a furniture, house you're living in and all that stuff, so the buyer wants to choose their own.
Yeah.
But what you want to do, and the real answer is, appeal to 80% of the market. You're not going to please everybody. Have a consistent paint color throughout the home. It's easier than having a mismatched deal that clearly needs to be painted. And painting is a lot easier of a job. It's less of a hassle for the homeowner than say replacing carpet. So strongly encourage the painting.
Could you guys ever have something up if you knew a house was that way and the client's saying, well, I want to do that? Could you have like a sign up that says allowance for carpet paint? You pick your carpet, you pick your paint, and then when they make the offer, then you would have them choose that and then the seller would let them choose it and then do it.
Yeah,
once you have a signed
I
purchase
still think
agreement?
having it done is more beneficial
I
to
do
the
too.
overall selling
Really?
process because it's the impression you get from the house. It's easy to beat. Buyers are finicky. They're easily turned off.
Yep.
And so when they come in and the house has old dingy carpet and it clearly is tired and needs paint, they just get turned off of the whole house then.
See, I've got a story for that. Is because last year, 15 years in the townhouse, life cycle, the carpet was dead. Painting, it had to have paint. I was listing the house. Keith helped sell it. Got it painted, new carpet listed on Monday. By Thursday, we had a couple multiples, something like
offers.
that, and sold it that day.
Yeah.
So 4 days.
Yep. And we've had so many times where people come into a perfectly fine house, perfectly fine, meets their needs, all that, and they just look at it as too much work. That's the thing, too much work.
It's a lot.
So they don't want to do it. And the fact of the matter is, the seller is going to pay for that paint job, and he's going to pay for the new carpet. And it's just does he pay one day painting to do it, or does he pay the buyer to do it?
Right.
If he pays the buyer to do it, it's going to cost more, because they're going to want the cost of the paint, and add on to that the inconvenience.
Yeah, hassle money.
The hassle money, because they want to move into their new home that they just bought. And especially in your upper bracket homes where you're dealing with a house that's, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000, and then it's like, now I have to come in here and spend more money on carpet and paint. It's like,
and
for
when
$800,000, I expect it to be in good shape.
And when inventories increase and you have more options, it's like, let's choose this one over here.
Yes.
And so then that one will sit. Market times extend. Day-old bagels sell at a discount. So do market
Day-old bagels.
Day-old bagels sell at a discount. So do houses that sit on markets long.
So one thing that we run into a
I
lot
always get that.
is we'll go into a house that's got a few years on it. Perfectly fine property. They're all in agreement on painting the carpet and all that stuff. Then we get to the kitchen. And now it's like, you've got, at this price point, people expect you to have some kind of a solid surface countertop. And your cabinets are all beat up. So how do we deal with the cabinets? And what is the problems, or what is it? I guess, how do you approach that? Because you got doors, you take the doors off and take them back. They're
a little warped.
They're finished now, but you want them painted, and they're
Well, going back to the horror story, the gentleman didn't do any of the prep. Dull, dry, clean. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about dull, dry, clean, prepping the product. So we take the doors to our shop. We'll sand them down. We clean them off. We prime them, and then we 2-coat paint.
Okay.
And then we'll reinstall. But in that time frame, I'll have a crew out to the house, and we'll spray out the boxes as well.
Okay.
And we do all the spraying.
Okay. So then, and everything is sprayed, not brushed.
Yeah, for the most part, I'd say 99% of it. Sometimes clients just say brush and roll it. I'm like, okay, fine, but you're going to see
looks better sprayed.
Much better.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes you'll go in where the seller has done it themselves, and it looks like they painted with a rake. I mean,
are the sprayers good now? I mean,
they're great.
Are they?
Yeah.
I remember the old. There's like just a complete chaos.
Air sprayer or airless sprayer?
Airless.
Airless sprayers.
Yeah.
How long does it take for that door then to cure out so that you don't
so there's new product coming out that will harden within 7 to 10 days and cure that time frame. But I'm always telling people, babysit it like it's a newborn baby. 30 to 45 days. Grab the handles. Don't put your hands all over it. And I had a customer several years ago called me up the next day, couldn't figure out why the paint was peeling off. I go there to find out she'd taken her thumbnail across the cabinet. I'm like, well, that's why. You have to let it cure.
Right.
It's painted, but it needs to cure still.
Why was she taking her thumbnail across the cabinet?
She was testing it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I'm like,
it's like
okay.
seeing if the burner's hot.
Yeah, exactly. That's about it, yeah.
How about clear coating?
We don't do anything clear coating ourselves, honestly. But there's other contractors out there that will.
That do clear coat walls and stuff like that. Are
you talking about for cabinets?
No, I'm not. Well, yeah, for cabinet doors and stuff, because it seems like I've been told that it makes it easier to wash and clean when it's.
If you're talking about painting walls, there's no clear coating I'm aware of.
Okay.
It's the higher the sheen, the better wipeability it has.
All right. So then. Okay, so I got kind of filibustered there a little bit because I have my walls have been clear coated and
from painting you had it clear coated after that.
Yeah,
see, that's
on
the
the
process.
walls where I have the artwork on the walls.
Oh,
they
that's
went
okay.
in after that and put a clear coat on.
Okay, that I can see, but I've not done that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, if you can pay a little bit more,
senior's
gonna do it.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing.
What's your favorite thing to do?
Not sit behind a desk.
Not sit behind. So you like being out in the field?
I'd rather be out in the field talking to people.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoy doing that.
What projects do you like the best?
We go through Sherwin and Hirschfields, and we use the higher end products through both. Yeah.
What kind of turn times are you guys at?
We're about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Yeah.
So if somebody calls you today, they hear the show, they want to bid, they could get it done by Thanksgiving yet.
We had a client this week that it was a $10,000 job. They needed it done like now.
Mm-hmm.
We moved things around. We're there today painting. So so that was Thursday, Tuesday, yesterday. We took a day to turn that over and start painting.
Wow, good job.
The more they pay you, the faster it gets done.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Did you hear that?
Makes
So
sense.
that means senior can get his stuff done pretty fast.
Yeah, that's where we had so I had Roof to Deck came and did a house for me, and they gave me the quote on the house, and it was reasonable. And so I thought, geez, what's your turn time? Well, we're looking at 2 weeks, and I thought 2 weeks. I think it's gonna be sold in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then
how about this afternoon?
It's still available though.
Yeah, it is still available. So then I sent him back, and I said, it'll be sold in 2 weeks. I can't wait 2 weeks. And he texted me back and said, well, for 20% more, we'll get it done right away.
Wow.
We'll then move you to the head of the line.
Money talks.
Yeah, money talks.
So you donated a little money to his campaign, and then he got
I donated a little money to his campaign, and then all of a sudden I got a call back and said, gee, we have an opening in the schedule for tomorrow. Is that
fast? Is that good?
Just had a cancellation.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's great.
All right, so
Convenient.
it's Wow One Day Painting. Wow One Day Painting. So give us your elevator pitch now. If people are listening to I kind of like the sound of this guy. Why would they call you rather than Joe Schmo, your competitor who has a perfectly fine painting contract?
So we show up on time, professionally dressed, provide the service and quality that they expect. I personally walk into the homeowner, understand what their needs are, schedule the crew. We don't jump from one job to the next, and I ask for payment after the job is complete, not before.
Wow One Day Painting. You know how important that appropriately dressed is and professional looking is? It gives confidence to the consumer. They're coming out to the house to do foaming to level my concrete.
Okay.
So I had the guy come out. I called two companies, and the one guy shows up dressed appropriately, measuring, doing all the stuff. They're going to do CAD drawings on the thing, and the whole deal. I mean, it's just like you're confident that job is going to be done right. Mm-hmm. I called the next company, and first of all, it takes him 2 days to get back. Oh, and he texted me like 7 times during the course of the thing. I'm on my way. I'm coming. I'm going to be here. The next person I call takes them 2 days to call me back. Then they leave me a voicemail message, say, just let us know what you're doing. We'll get out sometime this week. I'll leave the bid on your door. I'm like, okay. They don't even know what I want done, and they're going to leave the bid on my door. So I'm
shows up looking ratty, takes no dimensions, just stares at it and says, "Yeah, we'll get her done."
It'll be about this much.
Yeah, so you go with the more professional company. Thanks for coming in, Mike. WowOneDayPainting.com.
Thank you.
This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. We're going to head out to break here. Give us a call, 612-627-8000. That number again is 612-627-8000, and we'll be right back.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us, because this is your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. Calvin Kamick, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Loan Depot, 651-231-2500. That's the low interest rate hotline.
It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy how low rates are not now.
Isn't that something? So they have all this media about the Fed discount and all that, and rates have done nothing but go up since.
Drives me crazy. Here's some headlines for us after you give us a real estate update.
Our real estate update market is slowing for fall. Our inventory levels are down another 56 units this week available. We peaked our high for the year was just a little over 8,000 units, and we'll kind of tail off now as fall market continues on. We're in a pretty balanced market where buyers and sellers are coming to the table and meeting and agreeing on price and terms. Properties have to be prepared correctly for sale, or they're just going to sit there because, like Junior says, the buyers are very picky right now.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that as well. We had another one this week that we met with, and again, it needs to be in this school district, this neighborhood, or we're not moving. We don't have to move.
Right.
We would like to move, and I'm just like, wow, you are. I bet you're fun.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of when you're just sitting there, kind of going, "Oh man," you're kind of like, "I'm sorry."
Mm-hmm.
That's probably
buyers
not
are being
great.
picky, and they're taking
much
longer to make a decision.
Right.
Yep. And I think people walk away from deals a lot faster.
Yes,
like if
they
you
do.
can't,
Right.
if the listing party is not willing to have a conversation or at least engage, people just walk away.
Yes.
They're like, well, no. And I think the buyers seem to be getting, like, I think a little overly confident right now, in my opinion, because we deal with a lot of, obviously, buyers more than you guys deal with listings, and they're like, well, we're going to get this for this. I'm like, I don't know that, but then
they just won't do it.
Yeah, they just won't do it. They're like, well, we'll wait then. We're good. I'm like, well, but rates are where they are. If you fall in love with a house, get the house, and then let's see what the market does, because we feel like the rates are going to improve. There's going to, obviously there's election less than a month. I think things will settle out a little bit. Now there's all these headlines, Keith. It drives me crazy being in the business as long. I think if you're newer to the business, you're like, oh my gosh, look at that. Now being in the business forever, it's like, geez, these headlines are such BS, right?
They really are.
But anyway, let's get to some of the headlines. Mortgage rates hold steady ahead of retail sales. Retail sales is coming out today. We'll see what happens there. There's some conversation that the Fed may not make another move. They might skip one meeting now and then do something basically after the election. Now they might just go, okay, like I'm good. Let's see what happens, and then we'll kind of see
isn't Fed meeting supposed to be like the 7th or something?
Yep. Yeah.
Of November.
So we'll kind of see what happens there. Thursday data again, uneventful day, but that's a victory for these days. Mortgage rates sideways to slightly higher. I wrote down an upward drift is kind of where I would say rates are right now. It's just steady, but we're kind of drifting up a little bit. So, if you're paying a discount, a little bit of money to get the rate, you're probably sitting mid sixes, upper sixes with no discount, mid to low sixes with like a point or a 1%.
But below 7.
Yeah. Below 7, yeah, for sure below 7.
At par or?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and if, we can get some 5.99s, but it's tough. You got to have, the stars have to align on some of that stuff. And then the other thing I'd say, we're just, I had a recruiting call yesterday, and one of the reasons this loan officer is looking to make a change is because their company doesn't offer all of the down payment assistance programs.
Okay.
And I think it's a tough environment to be in if you're not offering those things. And I had one yesterday. Again, we got an approval on it here. So everybody suddenly has become first generation, right? First generation program says as long as your mom and dad didn't own a property, then you're eligible for $35,000 because you're the first generation to own your own home, right?
Yep.
So I've got grandma, I've got grandson. Grandson's living with grandma, adult, right, 24 years old, and living with grandma. But his parents, kind of not a great situation. They've never owned a home. So grandma puts grandson on the loan, no income, gets Social Security money, and no credit score. But extra $35,000, right in there. And then, but then they went and now we also have Minnesota Housing, another 16.5. So I've got another one at $51,500 that they're going to get. Going to put that on there, and then they'll forget about it. And then when they go to refinance, they'll be
Here's the thing about
they have to pay that back.
Pay it back.
Then? That's not really a.
It's not a grant. It's we're gifting you this money
for the time being.
The $35,000 half gets forgiven after 10 years, then the other half after the next 10 years. There's another program out there where it's 20% a year for 5 years. So,
but you have to be in the house for 20 years.
The one you have to be in for 20 years. The other one you'd have to be in for 5. But if you're doing the second one that you have to be in for 5, you have to have your continuing ed done prior to a purchase agreement. You have to have your pre-approval done prior to. So now you're playing with dates because no one's doing what they're supposed to do on the front end to get prepared. They're like, so
they're out shopping.
They write
and worry about the money later.
I want to,
Or they didn't know about it.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're like, there's some money available here.
Can you do the CE in-house, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's just a site. It's free.
Okay.
Online deal.
It's free or
Tell me why
$75.
a loan officer wouldn't have access to those programs. Did the company itself has to subscribe to be a part of these programs?
Yeah, a lot of the broker shops do not have access. They won't get signed up, and
how much does it cost money or something? Or
no, it's just it's a compliance deal.
So how restrictive are these programs? I mean, because there's a broad spectrum of the market that's out there. Where most of the market is, people don't qualify for these programs anyhow.
Correct.
So
there's think of 80% of the area median income. So if it's a one single person, married couple, 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid, it goes from about 80 some thousand to up about 140, 150,000 depending on your family size.
Okay.
So you have to hit an income box, and then you have to hit the home can't be priced over X. So you got that, you got the property as well. So there's some boxes you have to hit, and then there's obviously credit score requirements. So if you have poor credit, you're not getting in these programs. 660 score, you have to be there. So if you have a low program, then we have an Access Zero program that we can do, 100% financing. So
what about the properties now? Do the properties have to be in great condition, or can you do a rehab loan on these, or what?
Can't do no rehab loan.
Okay, so the properties essentially have to be move-in ready.
They have to not move-in ready, but they have to be inhabitable. I mean, we've done some pretty rough homes that you kind of go, okay, there's going to be some stuff they need there, but it's not rehab. So let me hit a couple other things right now. Associations right now, if you're in a condo, in a townhome, or if you're looking to purchase those, make sure you get the master policy as soon as possible and let us review it. I picked up a deal this week from a lender that could not get a deal done because the homeowners associations are now getting their insurance renewals, and we've talked how how this insurance is going through the roof.
Right.
So they went their deductible went up. They put a 10% deductible on it, right? Freddie, Fannie both have a 5% max.
Okay.
So this other lender here local in town said can't do it. Freddie, Fannie, here's the rule, can't do it. We have a condo division. So I called our condo division and said, hey, is there a workaround? Like, tell me how because I know we got to get this done somehow, some way. And, I pump everybody's tires.
Yeah.
Probably one of my many gifts, is to pump their tires, say, hey, I know you can figure this out. So they figured it out. So we can get that deal done. We got it now. We're going to close here in 2 weeks.
So do you have to buy a bridge insurance policy?
I'm not going to talk about how we do it because then
everyone will do it.
It's a solve.
All right.
And so we got that done. So that was cool. So again, there's good to be in, there's good and bad on big, right? And so the good of Loan Depot, the good of being with a big company, they have a whole division that's just condo, right? So
let's
that's
talk
good.
about that.
Just
Some.
to figure
What
it
about
out.
the house that's got a 30-year-old roof on it, and so they say, the insurance company comes in and says, well, we're not going to insure that roof. It's going to be excluded.
Yeah.
What does the mortgage
that's an
company say?
insurance question.
It's an insurance
right?
question.
No, I'm just saying, what does the mortgage company say?
You have
But
to
I've
have
heard
insurance on
recently
it somehow.
cedar shake roof scenarios where they're like, we're not going to touch that.
Yep.
So we're having a hard time getting insurance for buyers with the cedar shake roof scenario, or they'll do, like I actually just got an email yesterday from Nationwide, who's my insurance carrier, regarding, I don't know if they called it like sunset insurance or, gradual insurance on the roof, or, based on the age of the roof, they'll, if it's under 5 years, then it's full coverage. If it's 10 years old, it's half coverage. If it's 20 years old, it's 20% coverage or something like that.
Yeah, I think Freddie, they're expanding their guidelines on what is acceptable. It used to be a lot tighter. They're having to expand some of that just because the reality of
the nature of the insurance
exactly
market right
what
now.
you're saying. I use a company to check on my own stuff called Savvy. So if you want to check out some of that as well, it's kind of they shop it out for you. So call me if you're interested in that. If you're having trouble, I was having trouble, so. Looking into that. So,
yeah. Well, that's
anyway.
it for this week. Call Calvin anytime. Calvin Kamek, Loan Depot, 651-231-2500 for all your mortgage refinance needs. 651-231-2500 to talk to Calvin. This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. That's it for this week. Call us anytime at 612-627-8000 or log on to our website, hittnergroup.com.